What's for dinner?
Oh my goodness, just look at the color. That just looks beautiful. All right, I gotta wipe everything. That chicken got everywhere. Hey everyone, I'm Chef Z and welcome back to my channel, Chef Z Cooks. Today I'm going to be showing you 5 chicken marinades for meal prepping. Now listen, all of these marinades are super easy to make, super tasty, and chances are that you probably have all of the ingredients in your pantry, with the exception of like 1 or 2 marinades because they're a little bit on the special side. But don't worry, because I will go into detail about that later on. Now, I will be completely honest. Your girl is actually quite terrible at meal prepping, and earlier this year I recommitted myself to fitness and meal prepping and just being a lot more organized. And let me tell you, oh my God, it's made such a difference. And these 5 marinades are the ones that have been in heavy rotation in my household because they're super, super tasty. Now keep in mind that they are in no particular order, but the first one that I'm going to share is actually near and dear to my heart because it is my Cuban citrus chicken, and you guys know that I'm Cuban, so all of these flavors are very near and dear to my heart. Let's just jump right into the recipe. So in order to make this Cuban citrus chicken marinade, we're going to need some free-range chicken breast. Now bonus if you can find free-range chicken, nonetheless you're going to need 2 chicken breasts, and note that for all of my recipes I will be using 2 chicken breasts that I went ahead and sliced in half just to make it a lot quicker to cook later on. And because the chicken breast that I bought at the grocery store came with the rib meat, I went ahead and kept it in there. I'm not going to save it later on. It's just as tasty. Just go ahead and cut out that cartilage because sometimes it's a little icky and tough to eat. We're also going to need some fresh garlic, a tiny bit of cumin, some onion powder, some olive oil, some orange juice. Now, if you're a regular here on my channel, you know that I like to use fresh oranges, but for this marinade, I actually think that orange juice works just a little bit better. We're going to need some kosher salt, some fresh black pepper, and some thyme just to round everything out. So we're going to kick things off by actually seasoning the chicken, and keep in mind that you can actually season it in the marinade, but just as a force of habit, I like to go in and season the chicken just for this particular marinade and one other. Gonna go ahead and add black pepper, and you want to make sure to season both sides. So just going to flip that over. And by the way, I am using kosher salt because I just find that it flavors things a lot more nicely than say a fine salt or even a pink Himalayan salt, which I know tends to be popular, but I feel like pink Himalayan salt is more of a finishing salt than a seasoning salt. So that's just a little tidbit for you. That's something that you guys do ask me about time and time. So I just wanted to go ahead and answer that question since I remembered it. So like I said, I'm just going to pepper the other side. And now I'm going to actually place this off to the side. And now we're going to make the marinade. And the marinade is super, super easy. So we're gonna take some orange juice. And the beauty about all of these marinades is that you can pretty much eyeball it and you can alter certain ingredients to your liking. So for example, I'm a garlic-holic. I love garlic. So I went ahead and I added about 5 cloves of garlic, but you can add more or less depending. I added a tiny bit of cumin. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to add some onion powder. I actually feel like onion powder works better in this recipe than say fresh onions. If you wanted to add some fresh onions, I just recommend that you dice them really small. I'm gonna add some olive oil. I'm just gonna eyeball this. That's roughly about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons. I'm going to whisk this, I'm going to whisk this all together until it's well combined. And pretty much what we've made here is a mojo sauce. And again, you guys have seen me make many different variations of a mojo sauce on my channel, and you guys know that it is delicious, okay? Smells amazing. Now we're going to take a Ziploc bag, and I highly recommend that you label the marinade that you're making. Now, a few things, right? I'm making 5 different marinades, and I'm going to store them in my refrigerator because I plan on cooking them every day this week. And I would say that each portion is about 2 servings. So for my husband and I, it's about 1 meal. And because I'm going to be getting to them fairly soon, I can go ahead and store them in the refrigerator. However, let's say you're not gonna get to them in time, then I highly recommend that you also include the date, and then you can go ahead and store them in the freezer, and then you can kind of keep track of what's what and when you put what when. So it's just another little tidbit for you guys. All right, so I always make a mess when I'm cooking, my goodness, like comment down below if you guys are the same. So I'm going to take the chicken and I'm just going to place it into the Ziploc bag. And now, very carefully, without making too much of a mess, I'm going to take the marinade and I'm just going to pour it in there. And now, oh, almost forgot. We're gonna take the thyme and we're gonna toss that right in there. And that's just going to add some really nice freshness to it. And then we're gonna zip it. And we wanna take some of that air out. And now we just wanna massage everything. Oh yeah. Guys, it smells amazing. I know it's gonna taste just as good. There you guys have it. This is the Cuban citrus marinade. Let's go ahead and let's jump into the second marinade. Okay, so for my second marinade, we're going to be making a Peruvian style chicken. Now, the good thing about this is that I actually have a full-fledged video here on my channel on how to make Peruvian style chicken, where we use some bone-in chicken and we make that really delicious green sauce that goes with it. So if you want to check that video out, I will have it linked down below. For this marinade, it's actually going to be very similar, but I tweaked it just a little bit just to make it a little bit easier. We're going to need some chicken breasts, some fresh garlic, some light sodium soy sauce, some ají amarillo paste, which is one of those specialty items I was talking about earlier. It may be a little bit hard to find, and I get mine from my local supermarket. However, I have found a vendor on Amazon that sells it, so I will link it down below. I have some olive oil. We're going to need a little bit of sugar just to balance everything out, some onion powder, some cumin, half of a fresh lime because we're actually not making that much chicken. I think that's it. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna set this chicken off to the side, and just like the Cuban citrus marinade, we're going to mix everything first before we add it to the chicken. So we're going to add this ají amarillo paste. By the way, if you've never cooked with ají amarillo paste, it is addictive. Like, oh my goodness, I absolutely love it. It is subtly spicy, slightly sweet. It's absolutely delicious. We're going to be using some light sodium soy sauce. I'm trying to be careful not to make a mess because, you know, things get messy quick in my kitchen. I'm going to use some fresh garlic, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of onion powder, tiny bit of cumin. By the way, you can also add some paprika to this if you want, because that will give the chicken some really nice color. A little bit of olive oil, just a few swirls. And now we're just going to mix everything until it's well combined. I really, really love how all of these flavor profiles come together. They're absolutely delicious. Now, if you add some paprika to this, it's actually going to be a little bit closer to that orangey reddish color in my original video. But regardless, it's still going to taste just as tasty. And just like before, I have my Ziploc bag, which I've gone ahead and I've labeled. So I'm gonna add the chicken. Now, I always suggest that just in case some of the chicken touches the outside of the Ziploc bag, I sometimes just like to go in and just wipe it down just to make sure that it doesn't contaminate something else in my refrigerator. And whenever you make things like this, I highly recommend that you actually store these Ziploc bags on the bottom shelf of your refrigerator. And now we're gonna take the marinade and we're gonna add it to the chicken. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And now we're just gonna massage everything in there. Make sure that chicken is well coated. Here's the Peruvian style chicken, and now let's jump into the third one. Okay, so for our third marinade, we're going to be making a teriyaki chicken, and there's a ton of different ways on how to make a teriyaki marinade. This is how I've been making it as of late, and this is absolutely my husband's favorite marinade of all the ones that I'm showing you guys today. So in order to make this teriyaki chicken marinade, we're going to be needing some chicken breast. Like always, a bonus if you can get it free range. We're going to be using some mirin, which is a sweetened sake, and honestly, it's the ingredient that takes everything to the next level. I'm going to be adding some oyster sauce, some light sodium soy sauce, some fresh garlic, some rice wine vinegar, some sugar, And I'll be honest, I typically will use brown sugar, but my brown sugar was a block today and there was no working with it. So guess what? You can use regular white sugar instead if you don't have brown sugar, some fresh ginger, and some sesame oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start the marinade. Now do keep in mind that for all of these recipes and the ingredients, I will have the exact measurements down below in the description box. So I'm going to add the soy sauce, the oyster sauce, which is like a little thick and a little runny. If you've never cooked with it, oh my goodness, definitely give it a try. The sweet mirin, which is gold. Going to add the fresh garlic now. And you know my rule with garlic, the more the merrier. Some rice wine vinegar. Sugar, which is really going to balance everything out. I just like brown sugar because it has like a slight caramelization, but like I said, the regular sugar will do. Going to be using some fresh ginger, which has so much flavor. And then some sesame oil. Oh, it's brand new, it's not even open. And a little bit more for good luck. As you can see, I'm eyeballing this. That's roughly, I would say, about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half. We're just going to mix this all together until it's well combined. Now, my husband absolutely loves this teriyaki chicken marinade because it usually means that I'm going to be making like an Asian sesame salad. And with any of these chicken marinades, you can honestly have it with whatever you want, whether that's some rice, some veggies, potatoes, or a salad like I usually do, because it's just quick, fast, easy. Gonna move that off to the side, and just like you guys have seen me do before, we're gonna take our labeled Ziploc bag. And by the way, with all of these chickens, you can either bake it, you can saute it, you can grill it, you can cook it a bunch of different ways. That's honestly the beauty. You can even air fry it. I do that all the time. Without making a mess, going to add the marinade. We're in business now. Leave that little opening, get the air out. Oh yeah. And then you know the deal. Massage, massage. Make sure it is nicely coated. That just looks beautiful. We have 2 more marinades to go, and I can't wait to show you the 4th one. Okay, so for our 4th chicken marinade, I'm going to be showing you how to make a chili lime marinade, which is absolute perfection. If you're like my husband and I, and we actually like to have quesadillas and tacos at least once a week. I mean, let's be honest. Who doesn't love them a good old taco night? So in order to make this chili lime marinade, we're going to be needing, you guessed it, some chicken, some salt, some pepper, some cumin. We're going to need some paprika, some chili powder, some olive oil, 2 limes. This is a chili lime chicken after all. We're actually going to need some maple syrup just to help balance everything out. However, if you don't want to use maple syrup, you can definitely use honey or even brown sugar. Quick disclaimer, I highly recommend that you use 100% maple syrup, either from Vermont or Canada, because the flavor is just absolutely out of this world. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get started, and just like the Cuban citrus chicken, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to season the chicken. However, you can actually add the salt and the pepper to the marinade itself. This is just a force of habit for me. Now, I wanted to mention, I know that I'm meal prepping for 2 people, and if you guys have larger families and you want to meal prep, say for 3 people or even 4 people, you can use the same amount of ingredients as I'm using if you're going to add, say, a 3rd chicken breast. However, if you want to add more than 3 chicken breasts and you want to do like 4, go ahead and double it and it's going to be just fine. And I should also mention that you can actually stretch out these ingredients even more if you want to use some boneless chicken thighs, which I do all the time. And the boneless chicken thighs actually tend to be a little bit more affordable than, say, chicken breasts. So I'm gonna set this off to the side, and just like before, we're now going to be making the marinade. So we're gonna add our cumin, our paprika, our chili powder, 2 limes, which is going to give it some beautiful tartness, if I can ever get the limes in here. Oh yeah. Now, I get a lot of questions about my line press. I will link one down below. This exact one that you see me using and in every single video, I actually got it on vacation in Puerto Rico, and I can't find the exact one here in the States or the artist, which is a bummer because trust me, I want 3-4 more to give away as gifts and just to also have in my own personal collection in my apartment. I'm now going to add my maple syrup. Now, I got this maple syrup straight from, oh my goodness, a little bit of a struggle moment. Now, I got this maple syrup straight from Canada. My husband and I, we like to go to Quebec City at least once a year, and I have been rationing this for the last 2 years because that was the last time we went to Canada. And I just love their maple syrup, and I roughly added about 2 tablespoons. I'm now going to add some olive oil to round everything out, and we're gonna mix it all together until it's well combined. Oh my goodness, just look at the color. Listen, if you make this and then you shred the chicken after it's done cooking and you put it in your tacos, or even if you make some burritos and you want to have like your own at-home Chipotle moment, oh, divine. We're gonna set these off to the side, take our labeled bag, and now we're going to fill it with the chicken. I feel like every time I do this, I need like a bigger opening. Is it me or is it the chicken that's growing? And now we're going to add the marinade. Look at this. Now I want to make sure to get everything in there, so good. And you guys know the deal. Massage, massage. You really want the chicken to be coated in all that marinade. You see here, that's a piece of chicken that hasn't gotten any marinade, so we're just gonna massage a little bit more in there. And now on to our last and final chicken marinade. Okay, so for my 5th and final marinade that I want to share with you guys today, this is my marinade for my Tuscan herb chicken, and this is super refreshing, super light. It's great for those of you who don't want a lot of sodium in your food, and those of you who are watching like the amount of sugar you put into your food. I find that this chicken goes great with anything. A salad, potatoes, rice, beans, you name it, this one is great. So to make this Tuscan herb chicken, we're going to be needing some chicken breast, some kosher salt, some garlic powder, onion powder, and I'll be honest, I ran out of my little fancy mini bowl, so I had to group them all together. We're also going to need some dried parsley, some oregano, some rosemary, and some dried basil, some black pepper, olive oil, some fresh thyme, and half of a lemon, just to bring everything all together. So we're going to kick things off by seasoning the chicken with some kosher salt. Now, one of the things that you can definitely do is that you can actually pre-make this seasoning blend and just have it on hand, because you can definitely use this seasoning blend for things like fish and veggies. Now, keep in mind that I typically do split the chicken breast, but this fella right here, he came a little thin, so I didn't bother splitting that one in half, because if I did, it would have just been a little bit too thin. Salt and pepper on the other side. Oh, and by the way, this is the Peugeot peppermill that I featured in my favorite kitchen essentials. So here it is in action. Earlier before I was using my red one. All right, so I'm gonna set this off to the side, and now we're going to make our seasoning. Onion powder, garlic powder, all the herbs, which is gonna really give it that refreshing flavor. Now, dried herbs actually really pack a punch, especially if you extract a lot of the like natural oils that they have in them. I'm going to add half a lemon because I just think that for the 2 chicken breasts that I'm using, it's all it really needs. Woo, she was juicy, all right, extra juicy. Going to add some olive oil just to round things out. It smells like summer, it really, really does. So good. It doesn't look like much, but trust me, it packs a punch and it's all that you need. For this marinade in particular, I do like to keep my olive oil handy, and you'll see why in a second. So we have our Ziploc bag. Obviously it's labeled, so I know which one it is, even though you can pretty much tell since they're all different colors. Now, this is a marinade that I personally love to use with salmon and even some sea bass or any kind of fish that you like. I love cod as well. Oh, it's so good. And now we're going to add the marinade. Now this one is gonna need a little bit of nudging. Scoop it in there. And I can already tell that the seasoning, I made it a little bit on the thicker side. So I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil just to like really help it move around. I have some fresh thyme, which again, is just going to really add some nice freshness and flavor. Like always, shut it closed, take that air out. And then we're just gonna massage it, move it around. As you can see, that olive oil really helps things get going. Now this is something also that I make a ton of in the summertime. I don't like to add salt to the seasoning blend just because if I'm using this on veggies or chicken or fish, it can call for different amount of salt and pepper. But in the summertime, throwing this right into the grill is amazing. So good, it smells amazing. So there you guys have it. This is the 5th and final chicken marinade. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Comment down below and let me know which of the 5 marinades is your favorite, which one you're most eager to try out. Don't forget to come back next week when I have an all new video. And until next time, I'm Chef Z y buen provecho.